Well, look at
Hey,
that.
Louis, good morning.
Look at
Good
that
morning.
office.
Good morning.
I'm intimidated by this office.
Well, I thought I had to wear a tie.
Wow. Yeah. Did you outkicked your coverage on that one?
Awesome to meet you. How are things this morning? Thanks for
Very
joining
good,
us.
and thank you very much for the opportunity. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, this is
No
awesome.
problem at all.
Very awesome.
Well,
Guys, we are up in about 10 seconds, so Mike will take the lead on this, Louis, and here we go.
terrific. I'll try my best.
It is 8:10 Newstalk Sauga 960 Raw. Mike Richards along with David Bastl. And something that we talk about so often on this show is the culture of basketball in this country, is the importance of basketball to the current youth, and just the emphasis on what basketball can do. I'm from a family of coaches, so I could talk basketball all day. And what I think is so significant is that connection that community has with the Raptors and the Raptors have with the community. So how do you make that work? Like, how can that be of more importance than just wondering whether someone wins or loses? Well, when you look at the Sinai Health, and they've come up with something, the Sinai Health Foundation, called Raptors for Research. And Louis DeMello is going to join us here. He is the Sinai Health Foundation CEO regarding the upcoming Raptors for Research. And we're just thrilled that he's joining us here this morning because we're really curious to see what this is. And we say good morning to Louis. Good morning, Louis.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, this is a really cool idea, because it checks off all the boxes as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, what happens at Sinai, and Dave and I have talked to many people over the years from the hospital, and of course, when the Raptors have been as significant in the city as they have. Explain to us what this 3-on-3 basketball tournament is, because it sounds absolutely fantastic.
Well, we're super excited about it, but let me start about the comment you made around culture of basketball. Our office is on University Avenue, and I remember vividly the summer of 2019 during the parade on University Avenue. And as the players were coming, it was electric. The whole foundation was actually on the street, and the street was packed. And then you realize, wow, there's such a magnet towards the Raptors. People are really in love with the team. And we said, we got to do something. We got to capitalize on this because they're also very community-minded players, and so is the organization. And so this idea about having a signature event for Sinai to support our fundraising efforts and obviously our research enterprise, said, what about a 3-on-3, sort of to make it the premier basketball 3-on-3 tournament in the city? And so that's how the idea started. And then one of our board members, the chair of the current hospital board member, says, what about the Raptors for Research? There's a nice sound to it. And we're very fortunate because one of our board members is Mr. Larry Tannenbaum, who obviously is very much involved with the Raptors and MLSE. And we approached Mr. Tannenbaum saying, what do you think? He says, I love it. This is great. It's a great community engagement for the team as well. And let's do it. So that's how the idea started. It is, we define it as the premier 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's taking place on March 20th, 2022. 100 teams. It's going to be at the Hoop Dome. So there is obviously the competition element, but we got to have some skilled players, but everyone can play as long as you're 19 and over, and as long as you're fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. We're going to have 100 teams playing on the 20th. The 2 top teams will make it to the finals sometime in April, depending on how the Raptors go and everything else. I cannot disclose more because for the finals, we want to have some Raptors involvement in there. Oh. But also because not everyone is skilled, including myself, and we all have hopes. We will also have the 2 highest fundraising teams will also play in the finals. So it's super exciting. This is what we call a peer-to-peer fundraising because it extends beyond the players. It's bringing your community, your networks, your friends, so they can participate. And so we're very excited. And the Raptors have been just amazing to work with. They see the value in community engagement, and they certainly see the value in our healthcare system. So I believe it's a win-win, and certainly a win-win for research as well.
Yeah, absolutely it does. Louis, this is really exciting because it's such a unique opportunity. And we talk about it being Toronto. It really isn't. It's Canadian centric.
Yeah.
And I would expect teams to be coming in from across the country. If they're listening to this morning, where can they sign up for this? Because you mentioned it starts in March, but now's the time to get in because it's not like you're having 1,000 teams. There's going to be a limit on it. And you want to get here faster than slower, don't you?
So we've been very creative on the name of the website. It's called raptorsforresearch.com. So that's all you have to do. You go on Raptors for Research, you actually sign up your team. And you're right, David, in terms of, I think this is national scope. We're starting in Toronto, but we may have teams from outside of Toronto. But our ambition, our goal is to go national with this event down the road. We want to make sure we do it right. This is our inaugural year, so let's do it solidly in Toronto first. But we do have ambitions because everyone across the country loves the Raptors, and everyone realizes, especially during COVID, how critical research has been. Yes. This vaccine is really helping things out, but that's as a result of research over many years. But to answer the question, research raptorsforresearch.com. That's the way to register. It's teams 3 up to 6 that you can have in terms of players. It's going to be a 3-on-3, but obviously then there's the peer fundraising component and all this. And if you don't have a team, you can join a team as well. So it's not like you have to create your own team. We have that option also.
Individuals can sign up. Yeah, that's great.
Definitely, and then you can be part of a team. Correct.
Well, the interesting thing, and as I said, we've had many health care and professionals on this show for years in other stations that we've been at. And the one thing that it's just a hard, cold fact is that in order to make things better, which comes with research, it takes money. You got to cut a check. There's no way around it. I mean, you can have all the well-wishing that you want and say you support hospitals, but until you cut a check or until money goes into the hands of those that are trying to save people's lives. And look, I'm not going to get up on a rant here, and I know, but there is something to those who have studied very, very hard and have gone to school for like 10 years, who are in the medical profession, who happen to know what it takes to make people healthy. Not someone off Facebook, not someone off Instagram who's telling you all these things that and there might be an accountant or a bricklayer. It's nice, they're important, but it's not as important as those that are in the industry who are trying to make our lives better. And if you want to do that and have fun at the same time, which is why I think this event is just such a winner, you put a team together, you join a team, you raise money, because the years that it takes sometimes, depending on the thing that is being researched, it does take a lot of money, and sometimes it's a little heartbreaking when we find certain people within our community, when perhaps it's their children, having a rare disease or something where they need some sort of medication, and it might cost like $1 million. I mean, there's just no way around it. It's because of research. So if you really want to help your community, this is a great way of doing it.
Totally. And, I will take no offense about the accountant comment. I'm an accountant, just so you know, but I totally agree with you. And, think about diabetes, the hundreds of millions of people affected by diabetes that each day, it's a struggle for many people. That's what research does, is finding new ways on how to best deal with diabetes, for instance. Think about cancer. That's what research does, right? So, and the beauty of having a research institute within a hospital setting, and that is really the ultimate goal, is you take really the experience from the bedside to the lab. Mm-hmm. You analyze your research, you bring it back to the bedside to make it better. So it's a continuum improvement in terms of the delivery of care, because at the end of the day, while it's research, their ultimate goal is to make sure that the delivery of care is as good as possible. So that's why these research institutes are so critical. And, like any great team, like the Raptors, and I'm going to use some sports analogy because it's Raptors for Research, you need to have the best players on the team. That takes resources, especially when you are in fields very specialized. Some of the stars doing research in those domains are all over the world. So you got to attract them to Toronto. And once you attract them to Toronto, they have to have the resources. For us, for instance, technology is a big deal now. AI is a big deal. Well, those things cost a lot of money, but you need to be on the cutting edge in order to make the next discovery that will improve the delivery of care. And at the end of the day, every Canadian, will be affected by healthcare. in some shape or form from birth to death, right? So having the latest and the best. And the other piece I would say around research is like any good team is the recruitment element.
Mm-hmm.
We got to make sure we have succession planning. We have a pipeline of talent here that keeps on building those labs and developing the labs and making the discoveries of tomorrow. So research is critical. I mean, the fact we can raise money while having fun through basketball, it is, like you say, a win-win. It's a terrific initiative.
Louis, you've touched on it a little bit, but can you tell us more about the Cyanide Health Foundation and the LTRI and what you guys exactly do for anybody listening out there today that is kind of wondering, okay, tell us more about this.
So from the foundation standpoint, our role is very simple. It's really to raise the critical funds that the hospital needs in order to really deliver the best care possible. I would say that's in a nutshell, that's what we do. And what do the funds, where do they go? Well, first of all, hospitals, when they do a lot of capital redevelopment, people don't realize that. They think government pays for everything within the healthcare system. It doesn't, actually. So when you sort of renovate the hospital due to volume, there's a portion of it called what we call the local share. And that's where the community has to come together to make up the difference between what the government pays and what is required. So Mount Sinai Hospital right now, for instance, is doing a 1/3 sort of redevelopment. It's the largest in our history. We have to raise $135 million to make that happen. So that would be an example. Equipment, as I mentioned, technology, new computer, AI, that type of thing. Quite often that is through philanthropy. If you want to recruit new stars and they need to start their lab, there's components of it, philanthropy will do that. Around the LTRI, the Lunenfeld Tannenbaum Research Institute that we have within the hospital, that is really the body that does research on a daily basis on how to improve the delivery of care. And they will specialize in a number of areas that the hospital is very strong on. I mentioned diabetes. Cancer would be another one. Inflammatory bowel diseases, for instance, would be another one. Alzheimer's is really, really big, and dementia with the aging of the population. Geriatrics right now, it's huge. How do you ensure good quality of life as long as possible? That's the type of research we're doing. And one of the things we're going to be announcing today, actually, so there's a preview, is also a lot of investment on our nursing staff. We've all heard how nursing has been affected by COVID-19 and even before. We will be launching today a Center for Nursing Excellence at Sinai. And that is really, again, it's through philanthropy. We've raised over $10 million. And it is to make sure that our nursing staff have the resources to really deliver the best care possible, but also to improve their profession by doing research in their own profession. Because they're the ones who spend the most time with the patients. You know, the physicians will come and go, but the nurses will stay with the patients at the bedside for the longest period. And so how do you deliver the best care possible with limited resources? How do you use technology? Especially during COVID times, actually, how do you get family members connected to the patient when they can't even be at the hospital? So these are all types of work that our nursing staff does, and philanthropy plays a critical role in all these things.
Well, you're certainly right about the nurses. Having in the last 6 years spent some time in hospitals, certainly 6 years ago was a big one for me. I was just amazed at what these people are able to do and what they do for a living, and they come back every day and do it. Like I would say to them very often, said, how much do they pay you? Like $1 million a year to do what you're doing right now? They said, no, I don't get $1 million a year. I said, well, you should. Because there are so many elements to being a good nurse, both for the men and women who perform these services. They're almost angels to me. Like I just don't know how a person comes to that point and then does what they do on a consistent basis. So supporting them, educating, mentoring a lot of these people, to me, that is because they're the ones spending all those hours in the wee hours of the night, early in the morning, throughout the day. If you're going to spend money, spend it on those people. So I think that's fantastic.
And to your point around, it's not money for these individuals. And I would say the same thing about our researchers. Like any great team, I mean, obviously those players get a lot of money based on what we read in the news, but it's also passion. They're totally committed. It's a vocation, really, certainly from our nursing staff, our physicians, and our researchers. You can imagine when you're doing research on something as really sort of specific as synapses in your brain and the elasticity of synapses, you don't know where that's going to lead you. It may take years. So a lot of it is on hope, it's on faith, and it keeps on building, on one research component after the other. So it's really passion that drives these individuals. And the least we can do, I find, as a community, is to raise the funds to nurture that passion, provide them with the resources so they keep on doing those discoveries that will affect all of us down the road and hopefully make our lives better.
Louis, before we go, one more time, the name of the website so people can sign up for this tournament. This has been a lot of fun, and thank you once again.
So the name of the website is raptorsforresearch.com. I encourage everyone to register. It's going to be a blast. You're going to have a great experience game day. There's many things in stock along with the Raptors, so more for you to find out, but you got to register first. And skill is not a requirement. Commitment to our community is one. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, I look forward to competing against you, to seeing you in shorts. I'm a very dirty player, just so you know, and terrible language and bad smack talk. So, Louis, what a fabulous time. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you again sometime.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. Greatly appreciated. Have a great day.